Hello and welcome to the Movie Attic. I'm Mike, and as I've said a million times, this is the attic where I discuss the movies, the DVDs, the Blu-rays, and the 4Ks for all the spooky people out there in YouTube land. Today's feature film is, of course, a vampire movie. It is Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. But seriously, yeah, it is Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. I like choosing underrated movies, and it seems to me wasn't a lot of love shown for this movie, or at least not originally. It's got a DVD and a Blu-ray, and I initially bought this movie when it first came out just because of the title, and I had seen that one of the producers of it was Tim Burton. So I picked it up, and of course, if you know me, and I know you don't, it sat around forever. And then probably 5 or 6 years ago, I finally pulled it out at about 2 in the morning and watched it. And even as tired as I was, I didn't fall asleep, so I found it interesting. And then it sat around for a little while more, and I thought it was good. And then I watched it last year, and thought, yeah, I like this movie. And then, of course, since then I'd gotten a channel, so I watched it again this year, and I was like, yeah, I really like this movie. So I thought I'd do a review of it. And as always, since I'm the consummate professional, I have the sheet of paper with all the vital stats, although how vital they are, it depends on you, I guess. It's from 2012. It's a horror film, of course. It's in the 2:4:0 to 1 aspect ratio. It's rated R for violence. And I don't think it said it on the thing, but there is a little nudity. It's got an English DTS HD Master Audio 7.1. Also has a Spanish and French track and some subtitles. Like I said, I don't know if I said, but I'm what you would call a big horror chicken. I don't like a lot of gore, and this movie really straddles the edge of that goriness. This probably isn't for like hardcore gore fans. This probably isn't anything at all. But for me, it's right where I need to be able to watch it. So, having said that, yeah, I know that doesn't mean anything to anybody. Oh, I did bring. Well, I'll get to that later. This movie has Benjamin Walker as Abraham Lincoln, Dominic Cooper as Henry, Anthony Mackie as Will, Mary Elizabeth Winstead as Mary Todd, Jimmy Simpson as Mr. Speed, Rufus Sewell as Adam, the vampire boss, and then I think it's Martin Kosakas as Jack Bartz, and he's like a lower level boss of the vampires. So, like I say, this movie's from 2012, and it put me a lot in mind of this movie a bit. Not in the sense of the story at all, but they seem to be underrated movies, kind of not looked favorably upon as far as an actual good movie. But they're ones that I watch this movie every year, this one. And they're very similar in the sense they have older CGI that maybe isn't considered really good. In fact, you can pick out the CGI pretty easy in this Abe Lincoln Vampire Hunter. Plus, in both cases, the movies have characters I really like. And like I've said a million times, if you can latch on to a couple characters that you really love the characters, then that can carry you through, and make a maybe not so great movie great in one's eyes. I thought all these characters were excellent, played magnificently. The guy that plays Abe Lincoln, I thought was excellent. He actually reminded me in the face of a little chunkier Liam Neeson. Of course, there was Henry and Will and Mary Todd, and I thought they all did, an excellent job. So, apart from that, the basic story is, and here goes another wonderful telling of these stories. The movie starts out in modern day. Of course, not now, but whenever the movie was made, 2012. And then zooms back in time to Abraham Lincoln's childhood. His dad works for, I don't know what this guy is, but the guy that Abraham Lincoln's dad works for is this Jack Bartz, who's a vampire. They don't know it, of course. So Abe sees this kid being whipped. Of course, he's a black kid. And Abe steps in. And then this Jack Bartz starts working on Abe. Well, then Abe's dad steps in, ends up getting fired. And, the Jack Bartz kind of threatens his dad. And I don't know if it's later on that day or night or when, but this Jack Bartz comes and kills Abe's mom. He witnesses it, of course. So then, I think it was 8 years later, Abe's dad dies. And I don't know if he died naturally or he died from vampires. So then Abe sets out on his own, comes to this town, runs into this Mr. Speed guy who's like a shop owner who has a room. He was kind of reluctant to give this room to Abe, but I think even before all this happens, Abe sets out to kill this Jack Bartz guy, of course, because of his mom being killed. He's in a bar, runs into this guy who says something to him, and he kind of knows that Abe is out to kill somebody for vengeance. So Abe sneaks around where this Jack Bartz is, ends up trying to kill him, shoots him in the eye, which is part of the gore part that I don't necessarily like. Of course, that doesn't kill him because he's a vampire. This guy he met at the bar steps in because this guy, this vampire, Jack Bartz, then tries to kill Abe Lincoln. and this guy saves Abe Lincoln, and he was very good at fighting. So Abe kind of recruits him to train him, although he doesn't want to train Abe. He tells him, you can't be just in it for seeking revenge, and you can't have a family or anything because they're going to be in grave danger with you being like a vampire hunter. So he trains Abe. That's when he goes into town and meets up with this Mr. Speed, who owns that store. Agrees to work at the store to pay for the room. Then he'll periodically get notes from the guy that trained him of who's a vampire in the town that Abe can take out. All the while, Abe is wanting to get to this Jack Bart's guy, but the guy that trained Abe says, you got to do all these, and, maybe you can get Jack Bart's at a later time. So he goes around killing all these vampires that are in the town, meets up with Mary Todd in the store, and it's a love story as well, so they kind of fall in love. And Abe's old friend that he saved years ago, that got his mom killed, he comes into town. He's in trouble, like, from the law, or running from the law because of the slavery and all that. And eventually that guy gets kidnapped by the head vampire, who lives on this big plantation somewhere. He kidnaps Abe's childhood friend because he wants Abe to come to this party that he invited him to. So he kind of, blackmailing him to get him to come to this party. He wants to coerce him into being on their side. Abe refuses, and they all escape because of this Mr. Speed, who comes and helps them. And eventually he does kill this Jack Bart's guy, and I think that's when the vampires kind of step up their game. Of course, all along this is running in conjunction with real history. Abe runs for president, and at one point he kind of puts the vampire hunting behind him. He marries Mary Todd. Then I think what gets things going again is his son gets killed by this lady vampire who's in with this Adam, the vampire boss. Then that starts everything up. But in the meantime, the Civil War is raging. A lot of the Confederate soldiers are actually vampires, so they're, running amok, not being able to be killed. Abe comes up with this plan to get all the silver he can, take it to this certain location, make, musket balls and all kinds of stuff to fight these vampires. The vampire boss, of course, doesn't want this to happen. So, the plan is they're going to ship all this silver via this giant, well, it's not giant train, it's a long train, which leads into a very cool sequence with this train, which is, there's some CGI there that can be picked out. The bottom line is that, and spoiler alert, these people kind of fail at getting the silver. Then Abe uses the silver to help win the war. And then the movie ends with them zooming back out into modern day, which kind of comes full circle. This guy that trained Abe originally to fight vampires, he's in a modern day bar with this guy that's doing the same thing Abe was doing. He's got vengeance and wants to kill somebody. So it kind of ends like that. So, as you can imagine, if this guy who trained Abe was in a modern day bar, he must be a vampire. Uh, Another great scene I like too, and I love this woman that played Mary Todd. She was excellent as well. She gets in a little bit on the action and kills a vampire towards the end of the movie. I won't tell you which one, but I thought everybody did a great job as far as acting. So if you're still here after all that rambling about that story, and like I said, I love these movies that uh, plop down a fake story in the middle of history. I love history, of course, even if it's a fake history. And in fact, one of the other movies I really liked that did the same thing was that Sky Captain and the World of Tomorrow. They plopped a fictional story right down in between World War One and World War Two. Absolutely loved that movie. So, I guess, like I say, I'm always here to rate the movie, I guess. If I was to give Abraham Lincoln, Vampire Hunter, a review score, and I know nobody else in the world would probably rate it this high, I would give it 8.5 rolls of pink insulation out of 10. Like I said, I really loved it, and it seems like one of those movies I like more and more every time I see it. So it's definitely going to be on my watch list every Halloween or, horror movie season, which I guess can be all year long. So if you've seen this movie or you have this edition of it, I think it might even have been in 3D in the theaters at one point. Uh, or you like other vampire movies, leave a comment down in the comment section. Like I always say, I'd love to discuss it. Uh, so, until next time when I'm in the attic with a completely different movie, maybe completely different. It should be a Halloween movie and it should be a horror movie, whether it's a kiddie movie or a regular movie. I don't know yet, but thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye.